My dear children, today we are discussing about photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process with which a plant is making glucose. Photo means light, synthesis means making. What are the raw materials of photosynthesis? Water, carbon dioxide. These are the two raw materials. So, with the help of carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of sunlight, green plants are able to synthesize glucose. This process is known as photosynthesis. So now let us see a video about photosynthesis. Green plants possess chlorophyll. So each leaf is ideally designed for photosynthesis. The upper part of the leaf contains more chlorophyll because it faces the sunlight than the lower side of the leaf. So when we take a cross section, we can see that the upper and lower layers contain no chlorophyll, but the middle layer contains chlorophyll. And each cell contains numerous number of chlorophyll. When we take a cross section of a chlorophyll, we can see that there are two layers, an outer layer and an inner layer. Inside the sac, you can see layers of grana. Grana are similar to coins which is placed one above another, and a liquid part is also there, that is known as the stroma. And the part which connects grana are known as stroma lamella. And this grana contains different kinds of pigments, mainly chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotene and xanthophyll. Among these various pigments, only chlorophyll A is involved in the process of photosynthesis, and all other pigments are accessory pigments. They help chlorophyll A in the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now what is the chemistry behind photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is taken place within the chlorophyll, and within the chlorophyll you can see that stroma and grana. So one part of the photosynthesis is taking place in the grana region and the other is in the stroma region. The process which takes place in the grana region is known as the light reaction, and the other one is known as the dark reaction. As the name itself implies, light reaction requires like light, whereas dark reaction is it doesn't need light. So let us see what is the chemistry behind photosynthesis. The first stage that is happens in the grana, which is known as the light reaction, and second phase is the dark reaction. When light passes through the grana region, the chlorophyll A absorbs light, and with the help of the energy in that light, it divides water into hydrogen and oxygen is expelled out, and hydrogen is enters into the stroma along with an energy molecule that is known as the ATP. So ATP is a specialized molecule which is the full form is adenosine triphosphate. Usually we can see that we all have mobile phones with batteries. These batteries are rechargeable batteries. When the battery empties, we will charge it and again we take charges from the battery. In the same way, ATP is a similar kind of molecule which can store energy. When energy is stored, it is known as ATP, and when the energy is taken out from the molecule, then it is known as the ADP. So by adding energy, ADP is converted to ATP. So adenosine diphosphate is converted to adenosine triphosphate when we add charge or energy to that molecule. So these molecules are known as the energy coins. Okay. After that, with the help of this ATP, this two hydrogen is combined with carbon dioxide to form glucose. So this is the way that green plants make glucose. So let us compare the two stages. All the reactions are taking place in the chloroplast. In the chloroplast, there are two distinct regions, grana and stroma. So light phase takes place in grana and the dark phase takes place in the stroma. So light phase or light reaction involves, what are the features of light phase? Light is used, and here in this stage water is expelled. Water is split into hydrogen and oxygen is expelled out. The remaining hydrogen and one ATP. ATP I already said that ATP is the energy molecules. With the help of this ATP, this hydrogen is transferred to stroma. Stroma is the fluid part of the chlorophyll. Fluid which is filled in the chlorophyll sac. So here light is not used. In the second phase or dark phase, light is not used. The energy stored in the ATP is used to combine hydrogen and carbon dioxide to produce glucose. After using the energy, the ATP became ADP. So this ADP can again be used for charging or making ATP. So in this way, carbon dioxide and hydrogen are combined together to produce glucose. Okay. Then reaction which is involved in the dark phase is a cyclic process which involves many stages of chemical reactions. So this is explained by a famous scientist whose name is Melvin Calvin, and after a very long and tedious experiments, he explained the chemical reactions behind the dark phase. So this phase is named after this Melville Calvin. That cycle is known as Calvin cycle. Then let us examine what happens after photosynthesis. After photosynthesis, we can see that the product of photosynthesis is glucose, which is highly soluble in water. So it is immediately converted to uh, starch. So starch is insoluble. So when we examine leaf for the presence of photosynthesis, we usually uh, test for the presence of starch. Then what happens after the starch? Let us see. Glucose is immediately converted to starch. After that, this starch is converted to sucrose because sucrose is soluble. This dissolved sucrose is transported to different parts of the plant. So this part in after that, this sucrose is stored in tubers in the form of starch. In cereals, it in seeds it is stored in the form of protein, and in fruits it is stored in the form of fructose, and also it is stored in the form of fat in oil seeds. And in sugarcane, you can see that sucrose is stored as such. So we discussed that the main contribution of plants are producing food and the oxygen. So plants are not only producing these two things, moreover, they are making our life more comfortable with many things. One such example is coffee. Coffee, rubber, uh, cardamom, cocoa, and pepper. These are all cash crops. These cash crops that supports the sustain what the life it makes our life more better. So plants are important both commercially as well as they produce food and oxygen, valuable oxygen for our life. So in many way, plant serves human being. So let us discuss the photosynthesis that happens. You can see that the majority of our earth is covered with the water. So in the next chapter we will discuss about the photosynthesis that happens in the ocean. Okay.